What's up, everybody? This is Chris Surratt bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to talk about the great freight recession and how truckers are being really affected by what's been happening over the last 2 years. Next, we're going to talk about the dark factory situation. Dark factories is those factories that are coming about that are predominantly automated. And last but not least, we're going to check out Leno as he checks out a extremely nice Cadillac EV that costs upwards of $340,000. So let's jump right into it. First up, we're going to talk about the Great Freight Recession. Okay, the Great Freight Recession, of course, is the. You guys remember even last year, but over the last couple years, when all these gurus are coming out on the internet and all over social media trying to teach people how to be entrepreneurs. Well, one of those big, I don't want to say scams, but one of those big things that gurus are doing was teaching people about becoming a trucker, how you could make it a job, not more than a job. You could make it a business, and you could buy trucks, and you could be all this great big trucking company and make all these thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And a lot of people bought into that. A lot of people bought trucks and semis and just U-Haul trucks and started hitting the road delivering stuff, and the trucking industry kind of boomed. It was pretty magnificent for a lot of people. Well, it kind of hit a bust more with the social media thing, where with the advancements of the DoorDashes, the Ubers, all of those entities, those apps, those situations where people could deliver things in their normal car down the street or around the corner, maybe a state over, a city over. And that took a super duper damper to the trucking industry, and which it created what was called the Great Freight Recession. And we're still in the Great Freight Recession. There's been people talking about how it's gone away, but it hasn't gone away. I personally know a lot of people who have had to get out of the trucking industry because they just weren't making any money, wasn't enough loads, so many truckers and semis on the road and not enough loads. The tariffs have affected it to some degree because, some products are still sitting at shipping yards or on docks waiting to be shipped, and they're not going anywhere because of tariffs or other reasons why those companies are deciding not to parcel those products out and keep them to themselves. So it was affecting a lot of my friends that were truckers. A lot of them had to change jobs, get other jobs, such and such. And of course, as it's affecting my business, quite frankly, because to some degree, you have those situations where you would standardly get your parts like next day. Well, with the Great Freight Recession, you're still, you're dealing with. I'll tell you an instance. I have a 2023 Cadillac CTS that I'm doing some repairs on. A young lady got into an accident in, and I had to wait a complete entire month just to get her headliner in. Now, everything stated that that headliner would come in 2 weeks, but 2 weeks came and gone. Another week went by, and it was on what's called national back, or a lot of you guys know what that is. But I received it yesterday. So, and of course, the excuse was that they didn't have the ability to ship it. They had it at their factory over in Detroit, but they didn't have the ability to ship it. So, let's jump into this. I think first we're going to check out a video, and this was done. It's one of those team building training sessions for dispatchers, for trucking dispatchers, and he's talking about the trucking industry, the trucking recession. I thought this would be a real interesting. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to listen to him talk about, the what's going on in the trucking industry. Real quickly. Wow. And I scrubbed it a little bit, so we starting to, where we need to.
Survey thousands and thousands of motor carrier executives, thousands of truck drivers,
saying they
and
survey a lot
all
of people.
kinds of stakeholders throughout the industry, including government folks. We've had that for months and months. So it's a bad economy right now for the trucking industry. Believe it or not, this trucking industry recession is the worst we've ever had in trucking industry history. The Great Recession was bad, but what the Great Recession didn't do is it didn't drag out for years, as we're discovering now. So this particular economy for trucking is sort of like death by 1,000 pinpricks, and the numbers don't look good. Rates, loads, you name it. It is true, though, that different parts of the industry, the trucking industry, are doing better or worse. You can see that on the truckload side. If you are into contract freight, you haven't done as badly as folks who raced into the spot market. 2000.
Contract freight, of course, is if you're under contract with some particular company and you're getting consistent work from that company, shipping from one location to another. The majority of truckers that pretty much jumped into the trucking industry over the last, course of the last couple of years, they're buying, they're vying for their jobs. They have to go out and look for them. They have to, they have to sell themselves to people to get them to use their services, as it were. So, of course, if you're in a situation where you're a guy or a company, a trucking company that has already have some good contracts, then you're not going to have a problem. But if you're that type of trucker that has to pretty much, source his clients, then that's where the problem comes in.
Latter half of 2021 into 22, everyone went to the spot market. Even large fleets were playing the spot market because the rates were phenomenal. But those folks, particularly the owner-operators and small fleets who stayed there, they suffered a huge dip.
Spot market is just that. Spot market is, you're going after people who don't standardly have to have stuff shipped. They're just shipping for a particular thing at a particular time. And then on top of that, of course, like you said, the rates were fantastic because people were setting their own rates at that time, so people were making a lot of money. And that's where the whole trucking guru situation came in. That's where all these people getting all these other people into trucking and teaching trucking classes and all these other things. That's where it came about. But you don't see that no more. You don't see it around on social media. You don't see anywhere where there's these trucking gurus anymore. They just pretty much disappeared.
In revenue, customer bases, you name it. So one of the things we're all sitting around scratching our head right now is what are tariffs doing? And again, you can see this here. Mostly just look at the numbers. These are container movements at LA Long Beach, the largest port in the United States. Severe drops. The truth be told, politics aside, I believe, armchair economist here, I believe the short-term pain of the tariffs right now will have long-term gains. And I'm so optimistic that I think probably within 1 to 2 quarters, we're going to see some pretty big turns in a lot of movement. Container movement, intermodal, you name it. Again, I'm an optimist, but the market's up 100 points right now just because they heard me. Factory output. So there's 3 legs, primary legs of the trucking industry's stool. Manufacturing, consumer spending, and construction, both housing and commercial. So this is good news right here. Look at that. That tail is moving in an amazing direction in 2025. Little bit because of the tariffs. Everyone's in a panic, start manufacturing locally, nearshoring, reshoring. But you see these lines here. The red is what you care about. That's the worst case scenario for these tariffs. It presumed, though, that the tariffs were going to run all 2025, and we're already seeing many of them disappearing. Same thing here. Basically, the numbers look good. I'm saying in 2025, the numbers are starting to look good. And again, the tariffs are fading. The effect of that will be beneficial over time. Consumer spending, the next leg. What's really weird, consumer confidence, almost no matter what happens, has not taken any huge hits in the last 3 years of this recession, industry recession. But just in the last quarter, it did take a hit. I think it's the politics. I think it's the uncertainty of what's going on. Making anybody from Canada? our 51st state. So that uncertainty did dip in consumer confidence, but at the end of the day, we're still spending in the positive numbers, and I think that's going to continue. And then the last two slides on construction. Again, the bottom line is the Federal Reserve raised interest rates 11 times in 14 months. Every economist knows that after you raise an interest rate, the prime lending rate, you need 4 to 6 months to see what the effect is before you do it again. Well, our friends at the Federal Reserve did 11 times in 14 months. Gutted big chunks of the economy. Who could afford to buy houses or even build commercial buildings when your interest rates are 7, 8, 9%? Fortunately, they've lowered them twice. They've left them level right now, and I think that's going to turn around, but this is a bad sign.
All right. Now, you said a lot there, and the majority of it is that the trucking companies have took major hits over the last couple years, and for several reasons. And they still think that tariffs are going to affect them. I personally think that tariffs are going to have a positive effect, just like he said. It's going to be a situation where we're going to be doing a lot more commerce inside of the United States, so it's going to be necessary for more trucking in the United States, more trucks on the roads, delivering products from place to place here in the United States. So I foresee that it will have a turnaround. But what we do know that is at this point, it has had a horrible effect on the trucking industry. Let's read a quick story from MSN. Another major trucking company files Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And this is by Kirk O'Neill, and this was 2 days ago. The Great Freight Recession has been characterized by astronomical statistics that seem unreal. Over the last 2 years, thousands of trucking companies and freight brokerage firms have permanently closed their businesses, and the situation is not expected to improve if the Trump administration pushes forward with its tariff proposals for international trade partners. About 88,000 trucking companies and 8,000 freight brokerage firms ceased operating in 2023, Freight Caviar data revealed. Last year, the trucking sector reported a net loss of about 10,000 carriers in the first half of 2024, according to truckinfo.net. The American Trucking Association was confident that the industry would improve in 2025, as it is projected in its annual freight forecast released in January that truck volumes would grow 1.6% this year after 2 years of declines. That report, however, was completed before the Trump administration's tariff plans were fully revealed. And since then, several trucking companies have already filed for either Chapter 11 reorganization or Chapter 7 liquidation bankruptcy this year. Some have ceased operating their business without filing for bankruptcy, such as Michigan-based trucking company Equity Transportation Company, Inc., which had 100 drivers and 109 power units. Damn! The company laid off all of its drivers and ceased operations in March, according to several sources with knowledge of the situation, FreightWaves reported. Another huge trucking and logistics company, LTI Trucking Services, informed its 250 drivers on April 2nd that it was shutting down its operations. The company said it had exhausted all options, made a difficult decision to close the company. People are getting bought out. The Florida-based trucking company Davis Express Inc., with 160 trucks and 140 drivers, revealed on its Facebook page that the company was shutting down its business permanently after making its final deliveries on April 23rd, returning all trucks to its terminal by April 30th. The owner of the company said he will retire and does not want to wait any longer for the business to turn around or to find a buyer. The founder's family is no longer interested in continuing the business due to industry challenges, he said. Trucking companies filed for bankruptcy. Major trucking companies with dozens of drivers, tractors, and trailers have also filed for bankruptcy in the first half of the year, including transportation and logistics company Balkan Express and its affiliate Balkan Logistics filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy to restructure their debts on April 30th. I do a lot of business with Balkan Logistics. That's crazy. Didn't know this. Balkan Express operates 159 power units and employs about 166 drivers who ship general freight, including beverages. And 3 companies that are not affiliated filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on April 7, 2025, including CNC Freight, Network of Brownston, Georgia, Dedham, Massachusetts, based Best Choice Trucking LLC, and Memphis, Tennessee-based Best Logistics Inc., which all filed for bankruptcy to restructure their debts. Everybody broke. ASA Transportation files for bankruptcy. Finally, the Great Freight Recession has dragged down another truck company as AZA Transportation Inc. has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy to reorganize its business. The Mount Prospect, Illinois Trucking and Freight Transportation Company filed its Subchapter V petition on May 14th in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Northern District of Illinois, listing $100,000 to $500,000 in assets. Really? $500,000 to $1 million in liabilities. Oh, wow. The company's creditors include merchant cash advance lenders, equipment finance companies for their trucks, fuel vendors, and tollway authorities. The company operates 70 trucks and employs 71 drivers, according to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Safer website, consisting of a fleet of Freightliner, Cascadia, and Volvo sleeper tractors and flatbed trailers. The company provides interstate transportation services in several states, including Illinois and Oklahoma. All right, guys, so what can we say? Over the last couple of years, the trucking industry was flooded with people who thought that that was the way for them to make their dreams come true, for them to be independent, for them to be entrepreneurs, for them to be, get away from the shackles of a 9-to-5 job. And now a lot of those people are without a job, and they pedaling back and getting back to where they was, or if they're smart, they're going back to school, building their education, and then jumping back into some entrepreneurship. And it's a sad thing. Like I said before, I have several friends that I knew that were truckers and had trucks or still have semi-trucks, and they hurting for money. And those were people who were making a lot of money back in the day. A lot of money. I know cats who were making almost $500,000 a year as truckers, and now they're not even close to that. And it's a sad situation. They want to blame tariffs on it. I don't foresee that because the Great Freight Recession happened before the tariffs. So you can't blame the Great Freight Recession on tariffs. You can say that it might affect it later on down the line. That's quite possible. But the main culprit of the Great Freight Recession really is a lack of, work here in the U.S. Let's face it. Let's face it. It was boosted by immense amounts of import. Let's face it. It was extremely boosted by that. But not sticking to the core of the trucking industry, whereas you're delivering products from one U.S. state to another and then just delivering from ports. Most ports have contracted trucking companies they use. So as a spot trucker, you're not going to be able to get those contracts. You're not going to be able to get that money. So you're relying directly on the consumer market, the spot market. Those people who are just want a spot shipped here and a spot shipped there. Ship a car here, ship a car there. It's not consistent enough for people to survive off of that. And you really have to jump into a contractual situation specifically now, because back in the days when all these gurus out and the trucking companies were booming, spot trucking was easy. It was good money. You could make up your own rates in most cases on how much you were charging people to deliver their products. So that time is over. That time is over. It's a time where, those big companies, and this is pretty much all companies, even in real estate, being a real estate agent myself, I understand that with the loss of consumer confidence, people start to go back to working with the well-known companies because they think those companies are safe. It's going to be the same situation as in real estate and in most things when it comes to that type of thing, because most of the problem is that they probably won't be able to find those spot truckers out there because the marketing is not going to be great. And then of course the major truck companies have big bucks behind them in their marketing, so it's going to be a lot easier for those people to find those big truck companies to move their products. And it's just a situation where we're really going to mom and dad trucking companies, and it's just going to be that situation whereas Walmart got rid of the mom and dad stores and the mom and dad grocery stores and all the things it's gotten rid of or phased out because of the stores like Walmart, Target, and stuff like that. Trucking is going to be pretty much the same. Big truck companies are going to phase out the smaller companies. They've already been filing for bankruptcy and just quitting outright already that we can see. And it's just going to be a situation where it's going to be taken over by the bigger truck companies, and the rest of you truckers are going to have to find something else to do. All right, let's keep it going, my friends. So, next up, we're going to talk about dark factories, okay? And this is, of course, a major fear of most factory workers and, most industry people who understand that, the factory worker is the backbone of most companies, but the factory worker is starting to fall back to the advancement of AI. And that's what a dark factory is. A dark factory is basically a factory that is pretty much completely automated to the point where they can have all the lights off and the computers and the robots and all of the technology in there is going to keep on working if all the lights are off. Dark factory. So I'm going to show y'all a quick video about a dark factory. Then we're going to talk about a story where Tesla, Honda, BMW are starting to go that way. Let's check it out.
Imagine a factory that operates around the clock, producing goods without a single human present. This isn't a scene from a science fiction movie, it's the reality in parts of China today. Welcome to the era of dark factories where lights are optional and robots run the show. Dark factories, or lights-out manufacturing, refer to production facilities that operate without human intervention. These factories can function in complete darkness, as robots and automated systems don't require light to perform their tasks. This concept isn't entirely new, but its large-scale implementation is gaining momentum, especially in China's manufacturing hubs. China, often dubbed the world's factory, has been at the forefront of manufacturing for decades. However, with rising labor costs and a shrinking workforce, there's a pressing need to innovate. China, often dubbed the world's factory, has been at the forefront of manufacturing for decades. However, with
I had to stop there. Why are they saying that China has a shrinking workforce? Is China one of those places where they have such a low birth rate that they're paying people to have children? I think China's one of those spots, ain't it? So are they saying that they don't have the right amount of people to do the job, so that's why they're leading with this innovation? Because I don't see China seeing all of this automation being a problem when it comes to people having jobs. Let's keep going.
Rising labor costs and a shrinking workforce, there's a pressing need to innovate. In response, many Chinese companies are investing heavily in automation. For instance, the electronics manufacturing industry has seen a significant shift towards automated production lines. In response, many Chinese companies are investing heavily in automation. For instance, the electronics manufacturing industry has seen a significant shift towards automated production lines. This transition not only addresses labor shortages but also enhances efficiency and precision in manufacturing processes. Guzheng Town, located in Guangdong Province, is renowned as the lighting capital of China. This town exemplifies the integration of automation in manufacturing. With over 70% of its industrial output stemming from the lighting industry, Guzheng has embraced automation to maintain its competitive edge. With over 70% of its industrial output stemming from the lighting industry, Guzheng has embraced automation to maintain its competitive edge. Factories here utilize robotic systems to produce lighting fixtures, ensuring consistent quality and reducing production times. Factories here utilize robotic systems to produce lighting fixtures, ensuring consistent quality and reducing production times. The shift towards dark factories offers several advantages. Continuous operation robots can work 24/7 without breaks, maximizing production output. Cost efficiency. Reduced reliance on human labor decreases operational costs over time. Precision and consistency automation minimizes errors, leading to higher quality products. The shift towards dark factories offers several advantages. Continuous operation robots can work 24/7 without breaks, maximizing production output. Cost efficiency, reduced reliance on human labor decreases operational costs over time. Precision and consistency. Automation minimizes errors, leading to higher quality products. Despite the benefits, the rise of dark factories brings forth several challenges. Employment impact. Increased automation can lead to job displacement for factory workers. Economic disparities. Regions reliant on traditional manufacturing may face economic downturns. Technical limitations. Not all manufacturing processes are easily automated, and initial setup costs can be high. Technical limitations. Not all manufacturing processes are easily automated, and initial setup costs can be high. As technology advances,
Ah, see what they doing now. See, they try and see. Yeah, all right.
the prevalence of dark
Y'all
factories
get
is
the
expected to
Y'all
grow.
get the gist. So, yeah, you realize how they were making sure that we understood that the person that was speaking was a robot and that it was AI generated as well by having it repeat itself, so you know that it's not a person speaking. Ah, that's ingenious. That's cute. That's what's up. So I mean, this is what it is, guys. This is what the future may hold for us, and this is the fear of most factory workers, a lot of industry workers, definitely a major fear of the UAW. And it's got to be a fear of pretty much people everywhere that have jobs in factories or plan to get jobs where, it's considered work that can be done by a robot or an automated machine can do your job. And this is the future, and it is a major fear of a lot of people. And you already see the UAW and other entities, the dock workers and people like that, trying to stop the initiation or the bringing forth of all this automation, because they understand that it's going to displace them. It's going to put them without a job, put them without an opportunity. And most of these people, they were raised on these jobs. Their fathers probably had these same jobs. Their grandfathers had these same jobs. And here they are going to be the ones who are going to not pass these jobs on to their children, but pass it on to their TVs. And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but it's the future, guys. It's technology, it's innovation, it's the way we have to go. We have to continue to move forward. And that's why I always say that if you are in one of these positions, specifically, even me, even in the automotive department or industry that I work in, everywhere in the automotive industry, it is time for you to to branch out, to broaden your skills, broaden your horizons to the point where if you have to, that you're prepared to move on from the automotive industry, specifically because of situations just like this. And so let's check it out. We're gonna the reason we checked out the story about the dark factory is because we were reading a story earlier about how a couple of automakers are deciding that they want to or going to start venturing into the world of having dark factories. So let's read this real quick story, and then I'm gonna have y'all in and out on the last story. All right. So, of course, automotive news. It's on Yahoo Tech, but this is automotive news. Tesla, Hyundai, BMW, Mercedes test smarter robots as manufacturing aims for a human-free dark factory. And this is Pete Bigelow, and this is from Wednesday, May 21st, which is today. Automakers and other manufacturers have spent decades infusing automation into their factories and attempting to minimize their reliance on human workers. Now, a new generation of robots has grown in sophistication. They're helping manufacturers inch closer to the elusive goal of running dark factories, facilities that require few or no humans in the production process. Substantial changes remain, but that race is well underway, said Cyrus Sigari, co-founder of venture investment firm U partners, up partners. Far from the fenced-off fixed location robots of the past, new breeds of autonomous mobile robots, or AMRs, are now roaming factory floors. They're joined by collaborative robots, or cobots, designed to share space and work alongside humans. Someday, maybe soon, humanoid robots may further enhance their manufacturing might. Car manufacturers such as Tesla, Hyundai, BMW, and Mercedes are already experimenting with robots that borrow the human form and can sort widgets, lift boxes, carry parts, and conduct other tasks currently performed by people. It's over, man. Wait till them Tesla robots hit the floor. It's going to be crazy. These robots could constitute the basis of dark factory workforces, solving what manufacturers see as human worker shortage. At the same time, President Trump presses them to reestablish America's manufacturing base through tariffs and other industrial policies. And that's going to be a conflict, definitely be a conflict. So once the robot industry starts to hit the factory floor, and the idea of trying to get people jobs and working here in the U.S., it's going to be a conflict. Along those lines, Hyundai said in April it would invest $21 billion in U.S. manufacturing efforts, and that included purchasing tens of thousands of robots from Boston Dynamics, of which it is the majority stakeholder. In the next few years, Boston Dynamics Atlas Humanoid would be part of that. In the future, Hyundai said in a written statement, humanoids could offer substantial savings, experts said, enough to warrant the cost of investing in domestic facilities. The dark factory of the future is probably going to be one of the single greatest competitive advantages for an automotive manufacturer, Sagari said. All right, I'm going to stop it there. And yeah, it's the robots are taking over, guys. We've seen the movies. We know what's up. We've been told. We understand. It's iRobot all over again. We just got to prepare, Get your iRobots. I'm telling you, it's just the advancement of technology, and we can't stop it. We just have to embrace it and use it to our advantage. That's the only thing we can do. We can't stop it. We have to embrace it, use it to our advantage as much as we can, and try to avoid or move forward from jobs that the robots can take over and do for themselves. All right, guys, last but not least, my man Jay Leno was driving a car that it's nice, man. Cadillac Chris gives a thumbs up. He was driving the $340,000 Cadillac Celestiq. I think it's Celestiq. Sounds about right, Celestiq. Let's watch the video a little bit. We're not going to watch this whole video. That's not going to happen. If I can get the video to play.
Boy, it's really nice to drive. I mean, it's a very pleasant place to be. It's very sure-footed. There's no
Celestiq
kind of floaty-boaty, none of that. It's very good. It's very nice.
Yeah, thanks. You're one of the first people I've had really to go for a nice relaxed drive in the car. So from the very beginning, that's been part of our mantra here is we weren't trying to make a great EV. We were trying to make a great car that happens to be propelled by electricity. And so I think that comes through when you drive it. This isn't a trick. There's nothing, gimmicky about it. It's just a great car.
Yeah, you want to be a Cadillac first and then an electric car second.
That's exactly right.
Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. The car we're featuring today, the 2025 Cadillac Celestiq. This is the car you've heard about, you've seen about. These are being built to order. This will be the halo car for Cadillac, and it's pretty impressive. I like this color. When I first saw it, they had this kind of bright orange and these bright colors, and I thought, I like this muted look because you can really take in the styling and enjoy the styling. It's got all kinds of cool features on it. Rear wheel steering, 600 and some odd change horsepower, something like that. Well, let's meet one of the engineers that helped in the development of this car. See, that's what I love now. See, in the old days, you used to get these marketing guys. Jay, let me tell you what see, now we get real engineers. Tony Romo. Tony, come on in. I know Because most cars in this class don't have a performance mode in them. You know, like they always say, horsepower sells cars, torque wins races. This project started, what, 5 years ago, you say?
Yeah, about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And totally clean sheet of paper here?
We were already working on the car that is the Lyriq that's out now. And this was the model in the corner of the studio that was kind of the ultimate expression of the design language for Cadillac. And we were working on the Scala, which was a previous Cadillac show car, working that towards production. And you got to remember, like 5 years ago is about the time that Cadillac decided they were going to go all electric and lead GM's charge into EVs. So we really wanted our Halo car to be an EV. So we shifted gears, came here, and we took that vision model that the studio had, and we packaged it into a car and scaled up the proportions. And so this is about as clean sheet as anything any engineer gets to work on.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing opportunity to work on this.
Well,
So it's just a big ass Lyriq. Cadillac Lyriq, and you know, I tell the story all the time. I did put one of those, you know, put down on one. I was gonna pick it up, and it kept on not having it. And months go by, and so I just changed my mind and just took my money back. But my whole thing is that at this point, I'm not going to pick up an EV vehicle. I just don't like the idea of not being able to jump in it and drive from here to LA and to stop and wait 35, 40 minutes at some charging station. That's my whole big thing about EV vehicles right at the moment. That's why I didn't, you know, pick up that Lyriq. And it's just, you know, I don't know, guys. I think EVs are fantastic cars. You know, I myself have just going back to old school ways pretty much, you know, even with the new cars that I do have. I haven't, and of course I have an EV, but I don't drive it. It's not mine to drive. And it just, for me, it's just, I don't think the American infrastructure is really ready for it, for the simple fact that I think that is, you know, for talking about the whole plan to get rid of gas cars over the next couple of years. I talk about this a lot. I don't think that the infrastructure for vehicles, specifically EV vehicles, is designed well enough to get rid of gas vehicles. I say this often, that, and it's probably something that I'm going to invest in to some degree here shortly, is that, you know, you almost have to turn every gas station into an EV charging station. They have to be that easily accessible for the EV market to grow to the point where they really want it to grow. Okay, let's finish watching this. I'm going to let y'all get up out of here. I'm going to talk y'all head off about EVs.
well, very good. And four-wheel steering as well.
Yep, it says four-wheel steering. The wheelbase is really long, so it would take like a city block if you didn't have four-wheel steering. So.
Well, you know, it's funny because being in the far corners, it's kind of like the Citroën over there. You'd think the wheelbase is huge now because the wheels are so far forward. So I think it's the biggest wheelbase of any Cadillac in recent memory. Probably.
Yeah, for sure in recent memory. You'd have to go way back, you know, to the 40s probably to find something.
Yeah.
Or some of the limousines that we've made over the years are longer than this. But it's got a long. That didn't stop with how we interact with the customer when you want a car to nice and float kind of down the road. So we've paid attention to every detail to make this car special.
And
so.
no exterior door handles, right?
No door handles. I've never worked on a car with no door handles, so
Right.
power doors all the way around. You push the button on the B pillar for the front door and the one on the back. And
Okay, let's see, that is...
the button is back behind the door there, yep.
This one here? Oh, I see,
Yep.
okay. I see. And
Exactly. It's got a radar that looks through the door, so if you're standing too close to it, it won't bump into you, so sometimes you gotta like pull it
You
open.
press it again and it shuts?
Yep.
Okay.
And when you get in to drive the car, if you push the brake pedal, you don't even have to touch the door, it just closes behind you and you
okay.
drive away.
Very good, very good. And
It's a little bit of range, it's not terrible.
this is my EV charging door here.
Yep.
What do you say about
The
that?
aerodynamics is crazy. You got this shape, then you got these giant hands out here doing
It costs
How
us
old is Jay
some
Leno?
drag. It's
Right.
frontal area because, you know, this area that the wind's got to go around and then the shape, and so it definitely costs us just a little bit of range. It's not terrible.
This is my EV charging door here.
Yep.
Good day, Mr. Bond. Oh, very cool.
And then when you plug it in, it gives, yeah, you push it again. When you plug it in, it gives you the status indication that it's charging, and then the lamps will also tell you how much charge you have, and they'll give you a little trickle animation to show you it's still charging. So.
What architecture is it? 800 volt, 400 volt?
So this is a 400 volt
Right.
architecture. Yeah.
Okay. So again, you can plug in at any charging station. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And what is the range?
We haven't announced the range yet. We're still certifying with the EPA, but
they
it's going to
can't
be
even
over
announce it.
300, just over 300 miles.
Okay.
Just
Can
over.
can you adjust the regen, or is it set?
No, you can adjust how aggressive you want it. You can do one pedal drive medium or high, or you can get rid of the one pedal drive and just let it do like a normal, I have to hit the brakes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you've got a number of different options.
And your brakes last forever because you only use them really to hold the car at a stoplight.
Yeah, exactly. They're oversized only for emergency situations, so basically I would never expect you to have to change the brake pads on this car.
Right.
The door doesn't open itself into something.
Gotcha.
So that is SMC, like the body panels on a Corvette.
Gotcha.
It's thicker SMC, so we get a little better surface quality out of it. You really can't see any of the structure of the car when you stand and look at it. It's all applied panels.
Does this open?
It does.
Can
yeah.
we see what that looks like? So that'd be on
Got
your.
the key. Open the trunk. The hood.
So I know the front
key.
is not the biggest thing, but
Well,
you got
that's
to remember.
hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right? So you've got these huge steered tires. We still have
Yeah.
a radiator up front to cool the electronics.
Right.
There's a 48 volt battery that runs the chassis and the heated glass.
Right.
And then you've got a big drive unit. So this is kind of what's left over.
Can this also be an ice chest?
I guess it could. Underneath there's some tools, like the tool to get the center cap off.
It's a really nice car. I don't understand why it's $340,000 is what I was trying to get at, but it's a really long video.
Game of Thrones King's Road is now available.
This whole time trying to figure out exactly why, and I'll probably just do it later. I'm Cadillac Chris. I'm gonna talk about it more. I'm gonna do a little separate video about it, but I just wanted to touch on that and touch on the idea that they continue. And of course, this car's been in the making for what he said, 5 years, and even Cadillac. I'm gonna just say this for most automakers, they need to just put a stop, man. Until you can concretely gather more market share of these automakers, then more cars are gonna sit at these dealerships and not be sold, guys. The used automobile industry is booming, and it's booming for a reason. People are staying away from these new cars. People are really staying away from EV cars, and whether it's the tariffs or the pricing or any other reason, it should tell you that you should probably stop and rethink. But Cadillac Celestiq, really nice car. Ain't nobody gonna pay no damn $340,000 for that thing. There's no way in hell. Probably the only person who gonna own one is Jay Leno. So we can look at it as some fancy billionaire drives it down the road. All right, guys, I'm gonna let y'all get up out of here. It's a pleasure as always. Thank you for tuning into the show. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit me the DMs if you have any questions about automotive industry, repairs to your car, getting another car, anything that has to do with cars. I will concierge it. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm out. Peace.